संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। यथाग्नेर्दाहिका शक्तिः रामकृष्णे स्थिता हि या सर्वविद्यास्वरूपां तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। We will have the Sharada Kavacha starting. Atha Shri Sharada Kavacham Paramarthasya Praptyartham Dehamarpitamastu me Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham Bhikshayache cha Sharade. Om Sarva Shaktyatmikaye Shri Sharada Devye Namaha. Om Punatu Nasharada Devi Punatu Parameshwari Charanam Pavitram Vitatam Puranayena Putastarati Dushkritani Tena Pavitrena Shuddhena Puta Ati Papmanamaratintarema Shariran Kranuhi Yajna Shamalanno Bhayan Kranuhi Vishwataha Sharada Purasta Acharada Paschata Acharadottarata Acharada Dharata Acharada Nasuvatu Sarvata Atigam Sharadano Orasatam Sarogya Dirghamayo Sarvato Devitvanah Pahi Pahi Samantat Yatas Sarvamidan Jatayena Sarvamidan Tatam Yadekam Avyaktamanantarupam Vishwam Puranantamasah Parastat Yajjantornihitam guhayam taddarshaya bhayam pradehi. Om Tatsvarupinyai cha vidmahe Sharada Devyai cha dhimahi Tannaschinmayi prachodayat. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Namaste to you all. The corona crisis is continuing throughout the world as it was, almost without abating, and we wish soon some medical aids will come to help all the people generally to get cured. If we get a medicine to get cured also, it will be a great breakthrough that we can think over. And vaccines, I think it may take a few months, but we will be able to succeed. By that time, lot of transformation will come among the people's psychology, and the right understanding of life also will be able to have. That is what is much expected, that man must change his views, change his style of living. We are deprived of almost the spiritual content of human life. We are living an artificial life, and slowly we are returning back, retracting from the too much of advancement in the science and technology that has made us to forget our real identity, and that's what we have to. Anyway, nature will take care of everything. Every bit of human body and human life was given for a particular purpose, not for enjoyment, to transcend the nature and go. And if you don't use that, nature will use different methods to bring man back to the track where he has to go. And we were thinking of the Indian spirituality, how, what is its nature. Now, the culture that we are speaking of, this the whole world considers directly or indirectly, passively or actively, they understand that it is something valuable and the highest achievement in human existence, because this Indian spirituality and heritage and cultural heritage is totally flowing, bringing down the absolute into the relative. That is, we are the eternal transcendent reality is brought down into the day-to-day life of human existence. See, we cannot imagine how constrained and small we had become. Now, present context I am telling, especially the Indians, how I am not able to look and understand at the neighbor, what is he, how is it, we are not able to grasp that type of this one. But look at the Vedic times onwards, the thousands of years we passed. Just like we have glass windows by which we bring the nature into our house. We don't just to open just a glass windows make us view the nature and participate with the nature. Like that, imagine the transcendental to be brought into our day-to-day life. The God absolute. The means we have to grow our mind, live in the cosmic awareness, and drag that absolute existence. What is that? How can we understand that? This is the main thing, because science teaches us how to live in this world with the five senses and mind and intellect. Beyond that, even the limits we have not been able to cross. Small physical, and whole thing is centered. How shall I be comfortable? How shall I be luxurious? Beyond that, where is the eternal freedom, eternal bliss? Anything happens, small thing happens, we are out of gear and we are struggling. So this eternal, whatever happens, even when I go to schools and colleges for talking to people, I say, first thing you have to acquire in your life is self-mastery. Conquer yourself. Be anywhere in this world under any situation, nothing will shake you. How to master ourselves, how to transcend, how to become that. So that is what we are seeking and expecting us to be. So this culture shows us, Indian culture is such a thing, how to live in this world, and then how to transcend the nature and go beyond. The second thing, how to bring the transcendental into day-to-day life. The three aspects of our life and existence. To live we have to live. We have a body, we have our family responsibilities, national responsibilities, social responsibilities, responsibilities towards humanity. All these we have to fulfill. At the same time, doing all our duties of life, we must be able to transcend the nature and go beyond. The nature is within, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, all this, we have to transcend from inner world and external world also. All limitations we must be able to go beyond. This is that self-mastery. I have to conquer myself first. So, this transcendence of nature and going beyond is one thing. And then bringing that into day-to-day life so that others who are on the way to go, who have not yet started their journey, are able to go with it. So this is the three things that the Indian culture will give us. And every jiva you see, every human, at all times, he has been struggling. He is caught by nature. He is in the nature. Whatever nature provides him, sukha, dukkha, whatever comes in the life, labha, hani, goes on coming. Pains and pleasures are just a chakravat parivartante, sukha dukkha, goes on turning. It's a wheel. Now we are happy, now we are miserable. This is to go on. Now, in this, the caught with the how to go beyond this sukha dukkha cycle, death and birth, shocks of life, how to go beyond. I want to fly away, go beyond all these limitations and enter into eternal life. This is the struggle of every jiva. Every jiva constantly searches for, I want happiness, I want peace, I want freedom. Be it a child, be it an ant, be anything, they will be constantly seeking these three things. That is, I want ultimate, absolute freedom. Absolute. And this is in Hindu culture, we will see, the cultural setup is so made, it is so designed that we walk with nature. Important part of our life and existence is we have to go with nature. Otherwise, we'll be making a great error, unpardonable error. So, that what we have to is to be in tune with nature at all times. This being in tune with nature is an essential part. So, what we do, our whole life, the Hindu culture, the Indian culture is so designed that you walk with nature. Nature, I am not leaving aside. I am not putting any pressure on the nature. I am not destroying nature. I am utilizing nature. The nature has provided everything for my living without harming the nature back. Whatever service I can do for all beings and the vegetation and whatever is there to keep it pure, divine, and for the next generations to come, that much I take care of the nature. I walk with the nature. This is called walking with the nature. With spiritual steps. The steps we keep must be spiritual. That is something beyond material life. We are living extremely material life without the spiritual awareness at all. But all things, what you are doing, what you are earning, what you are getting, everything will be with you. The same life you will be leading with spiritual awareness. And to see divine, to perceive, to be in tune with the divine also. So the steps are spiritual. The life is in tune with the nature, in the awareness of the divine. This is the Indian cultural background, what we are walking with. This, now, to live in this world, to walk with nature and live in this world. I have to live in this world. I have to walk with nature. What all knowledge I need. So much of knowledge I need. I want to know plant life. I want to know my health. So many things, so many factors governing my life. All knowledge I must have. How to take out the iron ore, copper, how to discover, how to make a vessel out of it. All these come under one knowledge, a field of knowledge which the Vedic period used to call Aparavidya. One thing is to live in this world with nature, we need Aparavidya. What all we study in schools, colleges, all the secular knowledge we get, all this is just Aparavidya. Apara means lower knowledge, lower type of knowledge. Apara. Para means beyond, higher. This is lower. So, Aparavidya is we are quite acquainted. And to transcend the nature and go beyond, we need Paravidya, the supreme knowledge. That supreme knowledge, two aspects. One to live here, Aparavidya, to transcend and go beyond is Paravidya. Now, whatever our senses perceive, whatever our mind receives, whatever our intellect reasons out, all come under what all knowledge from morning till night, night till morning, whatever knowledge we gather is Aparavidya. And this makes us live in a comfortable way. You see, what all things we have now, the advanced civilization we are in, and all comforts we get. But it is a treacherous support, Vishwasaghataka, because in times of adversity, in times of crisis, you see, Chennai had a flood last year, and it came to such a situation that everything is underwater and people are struggling. They have everything, no water to drink, they have ATM card, everything is in water, mobiles are there, they cannot use, computers are there, they cannot find out where they are. Now, this is treacherous Vishwasaghataka. External security we have. And if we leave the nature behind, or if we throw an assault on the nature and try to live a life, then that is without spirituality, then it will be a hindrance for our progress, evolution. We have to evolve from our animalhood to humanhood, from humanhood to divinehood. This evolution towards the eternal freedom, towards everlasting peace and bliss, that will be missing. So, modernity, all our gadgets and equipment, so many things that we have made in science and technology, all this we need along with spiritual basis and spiritual awareness. We have to maintain constant spiritual awareness so that we will be able to evolve and transcend and go. We are not caught anywhere. We are living a artificial life. In a dream world we are there with false security, invalid safety and unreal freedom. Real freedom we don't have. Where is real freedom? Whatever happens when the fire was put to Janaka Raja's asthana, the Janaka says, Mithilayam pradiptayam nameg dayati kinchana. If the whole Mithila burns also along with my body and everything, nothing of mine is gone. I am Atman. All these are Atman. It is just a name and form is disappearing and again appearing. It's a screen. TV is running. Like current goes off. Again it comes, doesn't matter. It was a play going on the screen. So this knowledge, this supreme knowledge as the background, this artificial, this one, dream world in which we are living with false security, we have to acquire the inner security. External security we have, money, wealth, people, police, all these are there. But when time comes, in Narmada Banks they used to sing the song, उड़ जा रे हमसा पवन वेग तेरे इस दुनिया में कोई नहीं, राम के साथ हजारों थे जब वक्त पड़ा तब कोई नहीं, उड़ जा रे हमसा पवन वेग तेरी इस दुनिया में कोई नहीं, सीता के सखियाँ हजारों थी जब हरण हुआ तब कोई नहीं. You see, this is what we face, because inner security, what we need is inner security. That inner security if you have, you are fearless. That kind of inner security we have to gain. We have to transcend the nature, we have to live in this body, not as the body, but as the indweller. If the house falls down, nothing of mine is gone. I am the same person. If my cloth is torn, or gets burnt away, I don't bother because nothing has happened to me. Like that, we have to see that knowledge we have to gain. These adverse circumstances, but now you see, slowly many people around the world, especially some of the youths also, are coming to an understanding we need something beyond. The material life alone, material things, materialistic views alone will not satisfy us. We have to go beyond. We need something, lack something that we have to earn. In our young days, I have told earlier also, the elders used to say, earn something which money cannot bring. What money cannot, you earn sufficient in your life that all your needs are satisfied. Anybody coming home, you are able to honor him with all things that he needs also. And then even arrange for the tomorrow also. But see that you earn something which money cannot bring. Eternal happiness, peace, eternal freedom, the blessings of elders, the grace of nature, love of God, all this cannot be earned from money. You cannot buy this. Health, you cannot buy in the market. All these things you have to earn. This will give you fulfillment in life. Otherwise, we will be lacking that fulfillment. What fulfillment we are seeking, ultimate fulfillment, that we have to acquire in our life. So this makes us go for the seeking the Paravidya also. Aparavidya and Paravidya. Paravidya will give us the knowledge of the transcendental. So we see the spiritual life, the intention behind our leading a spiritual life is not, most of the modern institutions, so many institutions are trying to give spirituality and all, just a peace of mind, as if mind is under tension, release of tension and all that. For that, lead a little spiritual life. No. To acquire something, no. This is this one, what is transitory, mundane things of the world. We have not come to, for spiritual life is not meant for this. The intention behind the spiritual life is to transcend the nature and go beyond. And to live here a beautiful, joyful life of unbroken. Otherwise, our mind will start dwelling on lower things of small satisfaction of the personal needs. We become like beggars in this world, seeking small transitory things only. We forget to get the eternal. And if you want eternal, great sacrifice is demanded. First thing is acceptance of the world as it is. Acceptance of the situation in which God has kept you, without reacting to the things, tactfully transcending all the limitations and going. Let suffering come, let joy come, whatever comes, use it as a power to go towards God. Why should it make you get affected by anything that happens? And that's why that Swamiji has written that Sannyasa Gita. Everybody must read it every day. It is the anthem of the heart, how we have to walk. So we will see that we have to transcend the intention behind is acquiring the aparavidya. Ultimate aim of human life is to transcend the nature and go beyond. So we will see how we enter into it. There are 3 states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, which all jivas are passing through. We are all passing through the 3 states. We wake up, we do our some activities, then we enter into sleep, we dream for some time, enter into deep sleep and come out. This cycle of waking, dreaming, we are passing through continuously. And beyond this, there is another state. We are accustomed to pass through these 3 states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Waking, dreaming and deep sleep. There is another state, it is called Turiya. This is where you will see the absolute, the superconscious state. Waking state, dreaming state, deep sleep state, and there is superconscious state. We wake up, our consciousness expands to our social level of living. Again we shrink back and we enter into sleep. Again we wake up. Can we extend this consciousness to limitless consciousness? Instead of limiting our consciousness to day-to-day life and a small circle of our existence, can I go towards the cosmos? Can I bring cosmos into my mind? Can I think of the vast cosmos with various dimensions, various planes of existence? Can I expand? So what is beyond this universe, what is beyond my innermost core of my existence, is the absolute existence, the subjective ultimate and the objective ultimate. Is to get the knowledge of that transcendental, that we call transcendental, transcends the nature external and transcends the nature internal. When I go to sleep, I go deep inside. Can I go in the same way, forgetting my bodily and world, dive within to go to the core and reach the 10th door to leading to the absolute, passing through which you will again enter into infinite existence. I am Atman, I am Atman. Can you get that experience? Similarly, bringing the mind, expanding it to the cosmic level, can you go beyond the universe and enter the realm beyond? That is, again, objective ultimate we call the Brahman, and the subjective ultimate we call Atman. Both are transcendental. Atman and Brahman are same. We are going from the front door and looking at the sky, another we are going through the back door and looking at the same sky. Brahma Jnana and Atma Jnana are same. This knowledge by the knowledge by which you land there and the knowledge you get after landing there, what you experience. Now I eat to get the knowledge of a rasgulla. I can see, I can hear from somebody there is a thing called rasgulla available in Bengal. Now I hear, I have knowledge of that. Then I see it, I have a better knowledge. But when I eat and see, that is the final knowledge. The knowledge that I get after landing in the absolute existence, after landing in the superconscious state, experiencing that absolute, what knowledge I get, that knowledge is called Paravidya. That Paravidya, the knowledge of the absolute, is what counts. This is what we are striving for, which makes you immortal. You experience what is eternity. You enter into eternal life beyond the bodily existence. So this is the state in which you land there. That state is called Turiya. Because Turiya actually means Chaturiya. Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti are three. Chatur, fourth. Chaturiya, in short form it is called Cha is dropped off. Turiya will remain. Turiya state. Turiya state. This is the Turiya is an avastha. Jagrat avastha, Swapna avastha, Sushupti avastha and Turiya avastha. This is Turiya avastha, in which he experiences samadhi. Samadhi is objective expression, and objectively I see it. He is entering into samadhi. I say samadhi is objective. From the person's standpoint, subjectively we say he is in avastha, Turiya avastha. Turiya avastha, he experiences samadhi. In Jagrata avastha, he experiences this world. So in samadhi sthiti, it is sthiti, this is a superconscious state, is avastha and sthiti. So this is what we, now when this sage who has transcended all, it can be I or you, one day we may enter into that realm, and we have to. That is the ultimate. And when we enter that, and when we come back from that state, just like we sleep and wake up, we come back from the transcendental reality, the transcendental realm, from the superconscious state to the normal conscious state. This climbing down from the superconscious state to the normal conscious state is called Vyuthana. Then waking up from sleep, we call waking up. This is descending down from the superconscious state is called Vyuthana. When this Vyuthana state, he sees everything divine. His ignorance is totally removed. This is the state of Vijnani. I might be doing great spiritual practices, struggling to reach some spiritual status or get some spiritual experiences. Other may be leading a purely worldly life. But all of us, as long as we have not experienced the transcendental, as long as we have not landed in the transcendental, then we are ignorant. Ajnanis we are. The one who has landed there and seen, he is jnani. When he comes back, when he sees divine everything, everywhere, every object is divine, every event is divine. There is good, bad, right, wrong, all things dissolve. It's one God that has become many, and we are seeing. This state is called Vijnani Sthiti, Vijnani state. Vyuthana, when he comes, he enters into Vijnani state. He sees everything. What he has seen there, what is the difference between waking up from dream and coming down? Both are in the same waking state. One who has come down from Samadhi is also waking state. One who has come from sleep also in Samadhi, waking state. What is the difference that we find? He went to sleep. When he goes to sleep, he withdraws himself totally from the waking state. He is also unconscious. When the sadhaka entering the superconscious state, the moment he enters the superconscious state, he is totally unaware of the physical world. Just as the sleeping man, he is also totally unaware of the body and the world. He is also gone to sleep. He is also looking to be in the sleep. He is not there in the physical world. Now he goes there, goes still, he is going towards a point. This man who sleeps, he is going towards his consciousness, Chetana, is shrinking down as he goes inside. In case of one who is entering into Samadhi, his consciousness is expanding. He is going towards infinity. This person is going towards a point. The sleeping man is going towards a point. There he leaves all his data with him, the knowledge, vasanas, tendencies, identity and all he leaves, takes a dip in the universal consciousness. Takes a dip and again comes out, picks up all his vasanas and knowledge, worldly knowledge, and comes to the waking state. The one who goes into the super consciousness, he also lives in the nature, all his identity, tendencies, everything, he enters into super conscious state, experiences God directly, and then when coming back, he has no identity again. When a person coming from sleep back to the waking state is the same fool, same person, looking at the world as he was looking previous day. Now, one coming from super conscious state to the Vyuthana Sthiti, waking state, coming back, he loses his identity in the cosmic awareness. He comes with the cosmic awareness. He is now not an individual. He is cosmos. He is one with Ishvara. Now, as if the macrocosm is looking at the world. He looking at a person. He is macrocosm looking at the microcosm. Now, this individual from sleep, he is looking at as a microcosm, he is looking at the macrocosm. He has become macrocosm. He has become the universe itself. As if God is looking at his creation. A Vijnani Sthiti is just like God looking at the universe. This is the vast difference we see. And this knowledge of the Absolute, with which the realized soul comes, this knowledge doesn't get erased. The person who goes into sleep, what he experiences in deep sleep and beyond, he doesn't remember also. He cannot carry it to the waking state. He picks up his own tendencies and karma and comes back. Here he is freed from all karmas as he descends down. All worldly vasanas goes off. All worldly vision goes off. He sees the divine everywhere. In every person he is seeing divine. In every object he is seeing divine. The Absolute percolating through. Now, what is his state, that Vijnani state? He is seeing everything as Brahman. Muktabai says, Dole Ugudun, I saw Brahma Disale. I saw the Brahman, the Absolute, with eyes open. What a state. This state, it is in this background, the whole setup of the vast Indian and Hindu culture and all that, whatever the gamut of Hinduism and Indianism, if you call it, Indian way of life, is entirely based on this reality. This is the basis of the gamut of the Hinduism and Indian way of life. The psychology, philosophy, way of life, the educational system, the politics, social structure, everything, whatever you see, the religion, the rituals they do, the worship. See, when a realized soul comes, he sees that Brahman everywhere. He can worship every object as a pratika of that absolute. He is offering his love to the God. We are reversing the process. By worshipping, we are trying to reach. But his worship is different. He worships every object. Where is God not there? That love that he offers to every object, seeing God in everything, is worship. We take it as a spiritual practice for us. So this is the behind all, and it is so designed. This realization stands beyond all things, that is a human life, is what all governs the law and order also of the country, the king ruling, the politics. Everything was colored and dipped in the knowledge of the absolute, in such a way that the person passing through all this must go back to that knowledge. This is the actual, what is Indian culture, and where we have to reach, how it is designed. Living just, we are trying, how we lost that. The westernization, how we embraced. You see, what a calamity we invited. A few centuries back, which was still alive. Now also, the Ramakrishna's coming back is just to revive this. Which was there in small way, here and there, scattered. This Ramakrishna has awakened. When I was in forest, we never use matchbox or anything. So, when the fire is extinguishing, we search and pick up small burning pieces of charcoal, assemble them, we fan and make it a fire again. Like that, this wealth, this treasure was still alive. Sri Ramakrishna, that's why begins his life, his sadhana life, with the worship of Divine Mother. From the basics he starts. And ultimate truth again he brings back and gives to this world. One of the important transformation, world transformation, is Ramakrishna Vivekananda, Holy Mother Sharda Devi's life, and this one is a drastic change again in now the time is coming that we have to imbibe all this in our life, give to others, advance to the world. Yes, we will stop here because one topic is we are finishing. Likely when corona crisis will end, it has to end. When cholera came and hundreds were dying, we had a similar question. When plague came centuries back, we had the same problem we faced. Now also we are facing. The main thing is at the gross physical level is the medicine that cures it. At the real, in the background, when we see nature, we see entirely another different picture. The moment we change our lives, all humans awake to the divine, immediately it will end. If I change, the world changes. The nature wants only one thing. The purpose I have given you a human body is for a definite purpose. You are misappropriating it, misusing it, putting in a wrong way. No, you have to come back. So we are traveling back, centuries back where we were, and trying to unite ourselves with the divine and live a beautiful life again with the modern science and technology. The day we accept these two things together, the spirituality and science to go together, the nature and our life to go together, then everything will be beautiful and very nice. The purpose of Corona is also served. Anything else? What is the secret behind spiritual aura of any saint or great person? Yes. When I was in Bangalore Ashrama, one great Swamiji was there. He's still there, still alive, and he's in Belur Math. And we knew from the first day we went to the ashrama in 1970s. From that time we knew him to be a great sadhaka, and as we became intimate, we came to know he's a soul who has realized. Just like I talk to you, he can talk to God. That faith we developed. Then one day he used to live almost a secluded life, means not because he doesn't want to come in anybody asking any service or anything, and every day his work was to prepare food for Thakur and keep everything ready and serve all the inmates food. Till everybody takes food, he used not to take food. He was not a manager or anybody responsible, but he used to see that the small service to the renunciates who have come to the ashrama, renounced, to serve them was his life. So he used to serve them and he used to live that life. So we knew him to be a realized soul. Whatever we had, any question or any problem, it is he who guided my life also in the early stages when I was helpless, and he used to give me what would be the next step I have to go and what will be the problems, how to transcend. So that was his status. Then one day the President Swamiji wanted me to call him. I went to his kutia. It was in a garden, lonely kutia in the garden. I went, all doors were closed. I tapped slowly. I could not, there was no response. So I waited for 2 minutes, again tapped. I am afraid to tap loudly. Mildly I tapped, again waited. From all sides I went round. All windows are closed with screen, a dark screen inside. I can't even see whether he is there or not. Then there was one small slit in the window. From there I saw inside that Swamiji is sitting in front of Thakur Mother Swamiji's shrine on his cot, and he's in meditation, and I saw in the dark room, the whole light is coming out of his body, the aura. This physical witnessing I had not done, but I had the fortune to see him in that state. Then I asked him, then I came and told Maharaj is in meditation. And he said, all right, you call him afterwards. You tell I have called him. That ended. But I was afraid to ask him, what is that halo? Many days passed. That was there in my mind. Night classes used to be there. All of us will sit. Adidevananji was Swamiji president, and we all used to sit and read certain things. All Bhajananji also, the Swamiji also used to sit quietly and go away. First, I also used to run because I am pujari. Puja I have to do, and in the morning get up and do my spiritual practices at night. So I used to also run. And he will run and go and stand in a particular place for a moment and just offer his praise to the shrine and run away to his room. So I ran, and from the way where he stands and offers his prayer, last prayer to the shrine, and going, there I went and hid myself to catch him. And then I asked him, Swami, shall I ask a question? He said, does it take time? I said, no. Then he said, yes, you ask. In great people we saw a halo coming out. What is it? He said, the energies that are dissipating in the lower levels by unnecessarily talking, straining ourselves, taking unwanted things in our mind, running towards the enjoyments, physical enjoyments, all these energies are, when they are stored and directed towards a spiritual attainment, the excess of energy gets transmuted into a substance called ojas. This ojas in the body, when it's beyond limits, it comes out as light, or some way it starts going away. In Meera, used to come out as scent, it seems. So this is the thing, that ojas is flowing out, excess ojas is flowing out, just like a man, if he gets fever, the excess of heat is getting dissipated. Like that, the excess of ojas flows out in the form of in India nowadays, religionness has got transferred to communalism. Why? What is the? Because we don't have understanding of what true spirituality is. We are at the gross level of understanding things, at the surface level. Even if you sink 1 inch within, then you will get great peace and great joy in understanding the other religions. The inter-religious understanding, we don't. And when Thakur did the sadhana of all other religions, he did not as an outsider. He did in everything as an insider. Looking at a religion as an outsider is different from looking at a religion as an insider. When we get that skill, so first thing is you have to find God within yourself to great extent. You have to spiritually evolve at least a few years of serious spiritual practices and austerities, tapasya jivana, tapasika jivana. If you lead, then you will develop a quality and capacity to break the limitation you have put on yourself. When you remove, you can enter any religion and know what is it. When I was in forest, some people were Christians, some people were Muslims. So they used to come in groups to talk to me. I will talk to them in their own religion. But all the principles are same. God is same. Eternal realities are same. They understand. If I give through their religion, they immediately grab. They absorb. It becomes a part of their life. So for Christians, I used to take the imitation of Christ. So for others, what their religion they are following, in the same way I used to, because I could remove because of pure spirituality, the Swamiji had Vedanta, which all differences dissolve. That Vedanta I had enshrined in my heart. Spirituality was my life. So I could see the same thing in the other religion also, in a different form. We in Indian, during my college days, I used to go to Indian Institute of Science every day almost. My brother was there as an engineer, so I used to go. And some foreigners used to be there. We used to go for food together. And they will see what is it made up of. We don't see. Suppose if somebody gives me pulao and again gives me puliogre, I enjoy both. He will eat this and they will ask, what is this? Then we say, what is it made up of? Rice. Oh, I have already eaten. He sees the same rice here. He doesn't see a new taste in that. I used to wonder that after this one, paisam will come. What is it made up of? Rice. Oh, I have taken rice. Paisam is an independent, it has an independent identity. He doesn't. Like that, we will be able to see, he is seeing scientifically. He sees what is the necessity of his body and what is he taking. We see the taste. So when we are participating in religion, we are seeing the taste, not the content. When we start seeing content, then we will understand. We are all, Thakur used to say, after realizing all the paths and all the religions, he used to say, all jackals howl in the same way. All are telling the same thing through different language and through different. He used to say, the one Christian comes and says water, another comes and says jala, another pani, like that, different aqua. And we are telling different, same thing we are seeing and calling different. So this understanding, we need a little of maturity in spiritual life. If we gain that, how do we recognize our Guru? Will he find us or we need to find him? See, Swamiji says, Swami Vivekananda, once the field is ready, the seed is bound to come. But how long to wait? If you are a monkey, young one, then you have to hold. If you are a kitten, then the Guru will come to you. Which nature you are made up of. You have a little ego that I can search my Guru. Then you have to search for your Guru. But you have to test every word of his lives, sitting, going, coming, everything. Thakur used to say, watch me during day, watch me during night. My hands are open. So this kind of testing, he used to feel happy when people test him. And what he says, does he follow in his life? What he preaches. But we need not go too deep into that. Pray, 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 and take a decision. Through prayer, we will be able to identify our Guru easily than through our intellect. Our intellect is very deceptive. So it is better we pray and get the right Guru. Through prayer, God will see that you will meet your Guru one day. When the field is ready, the Guru will come. All right? Last one. Request to share some reminiscences of Swami Tapasyananji Maharaj. So many, because it's a one thing is Tapasyananji Maharaj was extremely simple, a tapasya life unimaginable. Tapasyananji Maharaj was the vice president of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission. In Kerala, he is by birth, he is Keralite, Menon, and he joined the mission early. He had the blessings as a child of Shankaracharya and all these people, and he could renounce and join the Mutt. In Kerala, one of the important centers of Kerala, he built up himself a huge hospital center. He used to sleep on the benches in which the patients sit during the daytime. Night is his bed. He did not have a room. He's a huge hospital he has brought up, but he did not have a room to sleep. That was his life. And when he came, I went to Chennai Mutt in 1984 as in Brahmachari. I had sannyasa from Chennai Mutt. I was there. When I went, I saw him. He is nearing 80s, or he has crossed 80, and he used to sleep on a bare cot with a jamkhana on it, without a pillow. A mosquito curtain will be hanging, which he cannot fold. Small light will be burning, and he had only 2 pairs of cloth. One will be washed and put for drying, other he will be wearing. He had 1 towel with which he used to wipe, keep it for drying, and fold it and keep below the head at night. He had no pillows. 1 blade he used to use for 6 months. We did not lack anything in the ashrama, Chennai Mutt especially. We are well off in the Chennai Mutt at all times. And he used to use that blade till he used to keep on glass, put that glass inside the glass and rub it, and use it for 6 months. I was surprised to see all these austerities. Pin. One day I took one letter with a check or something to be sent to somebody. When it was taken, he signed and he asked, "Is this pin to be put or shall I keep it here?" He wanted to save that one pin. It is going together, he will take it out together. Why waste one pin? He will throw it away. He will not have value for that pin. But this is Sri Ramakrishna's money. I can't misuse or waste it. Look at the understanding. One is tapasic life, one is it belongs to Sri Ramakrishna. This awareness is how he lived. And this is the whole thing. He had kept another 2-3 pairs of clothes for going to Belur Mutt for trustees meeting. Every 3 months he had to go. And he was a vice president of the Mutt and Mission. The authorities used to ask him at the old age to come only by flight. He never climbed flight. Except to go outside the country once or twice. Otherwise, second class, as long as third class was there, third class train he used to travel with all the sickness, this, that, whatever comes, he used to bear and go by third class. When third class was abolished, for the rest of life, as a trustee for the trustees meeting, he used to go by second class. This was his tapasya. That's why he was called Tapasyananda. We'll see many more are there, but time is going. This is enough for today. Shall we end? We'll end this with the same prayer. हे प्रार्थना जगदीश से यह स्वर्ग सम संसार हो, अति उच्चतम बने परमार्थमय व्यवहार हो, ना हम रहे अपने हमको सभी से गर्ज है, गुरुदेव ये आशीष दो, जो सोचने का फर्ज है। हम हो पुजारी तत्व के, गुरुदेव के आदेश के, सच प्रेम के, नित नेम के, सद्धर्म के, सत्कर्म के, ओ चीड़ झूठी राह की, अन्याय की, अभिमान की, सेवा करन में दास की, परवाह नहीं हो जान की, छोटे न हो हम बुद्धि से, हो विश्वमय से ईशमय, हो राममय और कृष्णमय, जगदेवमय जगदीशमय, हर इंद्रियों पर ताब कर, हम वीर हो अति वीर हो, उज्ज्वल रहे सर से सदा, निज धर्म रथ खंभीर हो, अति शुद्ध हो आचार से, तन मन हमारा सर्वदा, अध्यात्म की शक्ति हमें पल भी नहीं कर दे जुदा, इस अमर आत्मा का हमें हर श्वास भर में गत रहे, गर मौत भी तो आ गई, सुख दुख हमसे सम रहे, गर मौत भी तो आ गई, सुख दुख हम